Why? Why did you punch the guy?
It's because I'm in combat mode. You did this.
I didn't do this. It wouldn't have been fair to take the goat with us anyway.
We would have had a sex goat on our team.
I know. Ah, that's what's making the noise, but they don't look. They don't look like a threat, and I don't look where I'm going. Hi, this is Asa, one of the co-founders of GameOnDaily. This week, the official Xbox wireless headset has stirred up all kinds of conversation about audio, with people asking whether Dolby Atmos is worth a premium and if Sony's proprietary Tempest audio on the PlayStation 5 holds up against it. Personally, I love that these conversations are finally happening, because for me audio is such a critically important part of gaming, and the spatial 3D audio in these consoles, it deserves our full attention.
This is sauce! This is pure sauce! Is Xbox Game Pass a joke to you now? Is it a joke to you now? Is there anyone who's doubting how serious Xbox is taking gaming? Is anyone doubting how seriously Xbox is taking Xbox Game Pass? Are you still going?
If I get you, I am a boss. I am the best player in the world of games. I get you with that kind of.
Yeah, go on then, I'll accept that. Yeah, we all knew. Oh no, I was punching right. And that's the verdict.
And then apparently Xbox Game Pass is crap because all it has is shovelware. Shovelware? Gears 5 was shovelware? Forza Horizon game was shovelware? You think Halo Infinite is gonna be shovelware? You think Elder Scrolls is gonna be shovelware? You think Fable's gonna be shovelware? You think Perfect Dark is gonna be shovelware? Guys, you're losing your mind! Shovelware, come on, man.
It looks like Xbox will be hosting most of the gaming content this generation. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for watching this video. A lot of people may be wondering if there's any truth to these rumors, and I'm hearing behind the scenes that this stuff might be coming. It sounds like Xbox has taken the PlayStation and Xbox push to lead the market in console gaming with a brand new generation. Both platforms offer roughly 90% of the same content across multi-platform games, and exclusivity has been cloudy to say the least, as Xbox and PlayStation evolve and improve the way their customers can access exclusive content. If Xbox is going to put out a new console, they're probably putting out maybe a digital Series X, but even that seems implausible to me. I also think that Xbox is working on a console, like I said in the main part of the video, but it's probably the next generation console, and that could be 5 to 6 to even 8 years off, knowing how incredible this software and hardware is.
Xbox has been on fire lately when it comes to dropping huge, headline-grabbing news. But with E3 right around the corner, fan expectations and wild rumors are ramping up again. This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and today I'll be breaking down the latest Xbox rumors. So I've also seen some glimpses of interactions between some distinct characters in this world. Is narrative going to be a huge focus of this, or is it more of a gameplay-driven experience?
This one is mainly narrative driven, certainly compared to like our old game Titan Souls. Like that was much more minimalist and more like focused on the gameplay aspects itself.
And I've had the pleasure of going ears on with a huge list of incredible games. And today I'll be sharing my overall impressions, the best EQ settings for general use, and Dolby Atmos, and why this headset might be the ultimate gateway into 3D audio and gaming.
In the world.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Go Live. This is the Saturday evening talk show where we talk about the sauce. I'm so hyped up today, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't even had my coffee yet. The green room is full of sauce. We have got saucy guests, and Asa just put me on the spot there. I hope you have a sick show. This is going to be another saucy one. It's always a saucy one, thanks to you guys. Shout out to Isla for the dank intro, and for all the members and patrons who support us. You make the dream happen and continues. Thank you so much. Honestly, it means a lot to us. Joining me, co-founder, co-host, the guy who makes it run so smoothly. He's a big reason why this actually exists. Asa Walker, thank you so much for joining us. You are the co-host. You can do the show now. Thank you. Bye.
Cool. Yeah, so when Gaz says that I put him on the spot, he means I gave him 3 days notice, a 6-minute warning, and a counting. That kind of on the spot. I am kind of an arse like that, yeah. But yeah, no, good to be here. Good to have these good guests. We've had both of these guys before, and you know they bring good conversation. So on we go.
Oh man, I'm so excited. These are not just guests. These are friends, man. These are the saucy guests. Before I go to introduce these sexy guests, Assassin Looper, holler at your girl. She has become a member of the GameOnDaily Elite Club. Yeah. Thank you so much, Looper. You are literally a pillar of this community. Everyone knows who you are, and your membership is really, really greatly appreciated, and you moderate on top of it. So thank you so much. Okay, so I say, look at these two guests. Who do I introduce first? I never have a plan for these anyway. The guy who's just smiling and laughing. Okay, Miles Dompier. I'll never get to pronounce your name properly. Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic. Looking forward to the show. We got Colt in the house. We got Gaz in the house. We got Asa in the house. It's gonna be a good show. I'm excited.
It's gonna be a mad show. It's gonna be a sick one. Last but certainly not least, Brian. What are you saying, huh? Are you saying, homie?
How can you not like Miles? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I think everybody loves Miles, like the new kid on the block. I'm super happy to be here. I'm glad to be on camera. This is the place to be if you want to show your ugly face. So I am super happy to show my ugly face, and I'm really grateful to be here. And yeah, seriously, I talk to these guys all the time. So I feel like we're just having a friendly chat about gaming. We're not really doing a show. It's going to be really fun.
Oh, shit. Thanks, man. Yeah, man. And don't say ugly face. Congratulations on breaking your video. So in your new video format where you are showing your face. Thanks, Sham.
I want an assistant.
My other assistant, Dodge, has gone home because he had hay fever. But I was going to say, congratulations on your new format. And people were saying what I said. Look, a nice, beautiful face to go with that beautiful voice. So congratulations.
I did. Yeah, I did. I got called handsome a couple times.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
I had
Show
to
it off.
screenshot that. Yeah. Yep. Print it out and. Yes, you are handsome. No, I'm seriously. Chat. Thank Gaz for pushing me toward this direction. She's been talking to me about this for a little bit, and I really, really enjoy it because I don't have a podcast. So like, this is my chance to interact with the people that I've been talking to in the comment section for like 4 or 5 years. So I'm super happy.
Man, I'm just so glad that you're breaking out, man. You had to show that sexy face to the world. Hey, look at that. Miles knows it. He's been showing a sexy face to the world. I'm big proponents of that in this show. So yeah, let's just get into the sauce, guys. It's good vibes here, and the industry is moving to a positive direction. There's so much good news building up. Generally, the industry is quite healthy, but we'll cast a critical eye on things as well. But my first topic, actually, this came out from this one sneaky chap who's actually on this panel, part of Windows Central Gaming, and his good friend Jez Corden. And what kind of journalist, I don't know what you would call us, would I be if I didn't kind of try and get a little bit information out of this. So Mr. Miles Dompier this week actually released a video talking about how, and there's the rumor mills going mad. Things are happening. Things are definitely happening, especially on the Xbox side. There's some moves happening in the background. Some people are saying something's happening on Monday. We'll touch upon that later. But you in your video, Miles, talked about a few things. But one big thing you talked about was this new AAA Xbox Global Publishing Partnership deal that's going on. But respect to you and Jez, who knew this information. I don't know what your dynamic is between you two.
talked about that. It seems like you know what it is. You know what the deals are, but you are saying you want to maintain the surprise or don't want to ruin it. But I can see from your facial muscles, man, you'd be terrible at poker. You know what's going on. Well, I don't have to get some information out of you. Like, how big is it? Like, this deal? Like, okay, just remind people who haven't actually seen it. What is it? What is this?
Okay, so yeah, we broke kind of a story. We did a rumor roundup of all the big rumors, kind of highlighting the ones that I personally think are the most likely, because like you said, the rumor mill's going wild. There are so many Xbox rumors right now. Most are nonsense, but there are a couple that are very interesting and have a lot of stuff pointing to them. We got some deets on the future of Xbox Game Studios Publishing, Xbox Global Publishing, and got some information on some AAA third-party partnerships. So in the video, we talk about four that we know of that are not the Kojima one. So
not the Kojima. That's 4. Yeah, I remember 4
Oh
deals.
my gosh.
So there are 4 that are. Yeah, we're trying to be careful on how we present this, because I'm not going to tell you what they are. So I'm going to be 100% that guy. I know what it is. I'm not telling you. Sorry. That's the state of things right now.
I can get it out of him, guys.
Yeah,
Don't
this
worry.
is it. Tag team.
So Jez and I have a couple teases right now. We have the Cyclone, which everyone has seen. That is a hint for the one that is probably the furthest along and probably the first that we'll see. Jez has also been teasing a dragon cryptically, but that's all you'll get for another one. So 3 of these are new IP. One is a spin-off of an existing IP, and then I'll let you guys kind of go wild from there as to what they might be. I will say one of them is not something I ever would have imagined by this team in this genre ever. So one of them I was really shocked by in terms of what it is, what the scope of it is, and who's making it. So take that info and do with it what you will, but that's all I can really say on that.
Wow, you are like a stripper. You're just teasing us so bad.
Yeah,
It's
you like
mad.
that? You
I
like
love
that?
it. That sounds so good and so wrong at the same time. I love it. So, Colt, let's put our heads together, right? So this guy knows this shit, but he won't tell us what it is. Let's just ask a few questions. How big would you say the big AAA one, the one that you say we will find out that's further along?
I would say 2 of them are very, very big. The one we'll hear about first, or most likely hear about first, is pretty big. From a really cool team. We talked about it being this kind of ambitious, connected world, and it's going to be this big online multiplayer experience that kind of does something very unique in the space. They're trying to, from what it sounds like, make a multiplayer game that it's not your third-person looter shooter. It's not your MMO. It's something kind of that stands as its own thing. So it sounds really cool what it is. I'll be excited to see how it plays out. And this is a studio that I've loved some of their previous stuff, but it hasn't really been multiplayer centric in the past. So I'm excited.
Oh, so there's a little bit of tidbits there, because Cole, what can it be? A studio that have produced work before, not multiplayer centric, and it sounds like to me it sounds like Destiny is what you're saying. Is it Destiny, Mars? Like,
Yeah, that single player Destiny.
No, it's not Destiny.
No,
it's not
no,
Destiny.
he's saying it's
Destiny.
not like that.
It's something that, from what it sounds like, is going to be a new idea. So it's not a looter shooter. I'll say that.
Is it like never been done before kind of thing? Is it quite ambitious?
I mean, that's what it sounds like. On paper, that's what they're trying to go for. Something that's never been done before in a multiplayer game.
You're such a tease.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're trying to be very careful, because for us, a lot of it is, you got to think about like the developers and the teams behind it, and they spend all this time and energy and years of their life like building up to this big reveal. And then for some clown like me to be like, oh, it's going to be this, and there's going to be this feature and this mechanic, like that takes away so much impact of seeing it, having that big reveal and be like, whoa, this is cool. As it's like when I saw the Elden Ring leaks, I was like, oh, like I'm a big Elden Ring fan. I want to see it. So I watched it anyway. But when I saw like the off-screen kind of janky, like internal trailer, I was like, this is the first time I'm seeing gameplay. This is kind of a bummer, but
Yeah. Justin Weiss says it's a Sobo.
A Sobo?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It's not Crimson Skies, apparently. Oh, look at. Oh, by the way, shout out. Joanna Dark, welcome to the Game On Daily Elite family. Yeah, Joanna Dark's
My man.
Yeah, Joanna Dark's my ma'am.
Yeah,
But Colt, there's a lot of goodwill going into Xbox this generation, man. Like this is like hit after hit after hit, as positive after positivity. Like it's surely easier for you as a content creator who's Xbox centric. Now, more exciting for you. Me and you talk all the time. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's been since. I mean, I really got a lot of traction moving my channel along in 2017 when they had, I think, was their worst year. So looking at all these deals they're making, I've heard that.
And we were talking about stuff. Oh no. Guy stroking that beard. Oh, it's stuck. I can see it though. It's actually stuck on that.
Yeah, when I was talking, I was getting a little distracted because I thought my internet was, because I was getting the buffering thing and I thought it was me.
I didn't even know how much I was watching the screen. I was just literally listening to you guys.
They're saying Colt's beautiful face is too much to render.
I can't take this anymore. The dream is dead, boys. The dream is dead.
No, it's working. It's fine, guys.
Momentary
internet blip.
We're not live, are we?
Yeah, we're live.
I said it's working. Oh,
They're now saying working.
So you just heard my my internal struggling. Okay, thank you. It's working. We're back. Okay. So sorry, Colt. Technical issues cut your flow there. So yeah,
I'll just swing back and say that everything that we're hearing or that I've heard, Miles obviously and Jez know more, but I'm hearing vague things like this studio is working on something, but we don't know what, or there's this type of game, but we know it's from this studio, but we can't say, like that sort of thing. But what I was trying to say when the stream was kind of having a hard time was that showing me on screen, Gaz having a meltdown. Our stream. What I'm trying to say is that Phil is proactively out there getting exclusive content that's coming to Xbox very soon while they wait for the games that come in 2022 and 2023. And then that's when I got into the media was running with the story last week or this week that Xbox's games are so far away. And that was Games Industry Biz journalist who says he's talked to his friends at Xbox Game Studios. And the day after I put that video out, he retracted his statement and said he was kind of speaking colloquially about how the games are so far away, because if you're saying 2 to 3 years or 1 to 2 years, that's not really that far away.
That's normal, no? That's how
it's normal. I mean, because everyone knows that big AAA games take 5 years. I get a little tired of a certain fan base expecting Xbox games to come out in 2 years' time. It's just not. That's not what I want from Xbox.
No, absolutely not. And to be honest, like, if you look cast your mind back at last generation, PlayStation first decent game was Bloodborne that came out 3 years after the bloody console released, and no one's complaining about that. Bloodborne came out when? 3 years after. Asa, don't do that weird look at me.
I think it was 2015.
I think it was 2015.
Yeah.
2015. So it's 2013.
A good 2 years. Right?
Yeah, good 2 years. So I saw that interview and I saw your video, and I'm glad you kind of like there was he was making it sound like a mid-gen console, but and you also touched upon this very interesting point. You think mid-gen console there won't be a mid-gen console? It will be a slim Series X?
Well, I mean, let's start from the source. Phil Spencer was asked that question when they were announcing Project Scarlet. They said, will you be doing a mid-gen refresh console this upcoming generation? He said no.
Did he?
And I'm sure when the Xbox One came out, they didn't have. I mean, when they launched the Xbox One in 2013, they immediately began working on the next console. And maybe that evolved into a mid-gen, but that was out of necessity. But there's no way a 16-thread console set with the Series S and X with a very capable GPU with SSDs built into the pipeline, there's no reason for you to do something to mitigate being left behind in the technology space with these new consoles on the PS5 as well. Like that's not a needed thing. What might happen in 3 years' time is Xbox will trim down And you may not even see it. PlayStation does this pretty often. They trim down things internally. They use a less expensive case, and they cut $50 off it, and they sell it for the regular price. But
yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned.
I think that Christopher Dring, when he said their big games aren't coming out until the next generation or the next console mid-gen refresh, I think he was making a joke, and I think he really regrets making that sleight of hand comment, because I don't think he meant it.
Video about him? Is that why he regrets his
No. I mean, hardly anybody watched that video that I made, and I was respectful to him because opinions are opinions, and he hears what he hears. But I think he regrets saying that because he retracted it, and you can't say 2 to 3 years is so far away. Right now, almost every game is seeing 6 to 12 month delay because of COVID.
At that COVID thing. So Miles, I just want to touch upon that point. Like this, I wanted to understand this because it took me a while. What does this mean? This AAA global publishing partnership? It's with a third-party title. These are exclusive games coming to Xbox. These are timed exclusives. Because what I don't want to do is fall into that trap of us celebrating timed exclusives, because I don't like timed exclusives. I've always hated that. But these are they're working alongside Microsoft. Microsoft is assisting them in building these titles, or there's just money changing hands, and these are.
Yeah, so the whole goal of the Xbox Game Studios publishing, I can't get into the logistics of timed exclusives. We know Phil Spencer is kind of on record saying that he doesn't have a huge interest in doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yes, the whole goal of these is to find partner studios that Xbox then publishes the game. I can't say definitively that these will forever be an Xbox exclusive, but the intention is that these are Xbox platform exclusives to bolster Xbox Game Studios. So in tandem with Xbox Game Studios, you have Sarah Bond and the publishing team reaching out to these partners to have other projects in the works as well. So their whole goal right now is to make sure that with Game Pass, they're getting something big every month, ultimately. Not necessarily first party, like we saw with MLB The Show, but they want one big thing every single month moving forward. And so they're going to need to fill those gaps with partnerships. And the more exclusives you can have to that platform, the more people are going to sign up for Game Pass. So again, I can't say that these are definitively only Xbox forever, but that the goal is that they will be Xbox exclusives initially, at least. So,
I mean, to me, that's like way above and beyond the call there, because we were all celebrating the Bethesda thing. Then we're talking about all these great studios that Microsoft got. Asa, I just want to get your take on this. This is what is your take on Microsoft reaching out to third parties to do these kind of deals? Does this fall? Because I know you're very skeptical of third party timed deals. Do you think that falls under the same bracket, or do you think this is a positive thing generally?
That's really difficult. Historically, I've always been very anti-timed exclusive deals. Microsoft used to do it a lot in the 360 days. Phil Spencer stepped away from it, and Sony kept on doing it a lot. And it very much feels like, it always feels like you're just taking things away from other people for limited times, and it's a bit slimy. At the same time, you have to acknowledge now that if Sony are going to be doing timed exclusive deals, it makes a lot of sense for them at this point in time. It's hard to begrudge them that when Microsoft are buying Bethesda and all the rest of them. So I don't want to be too hard on timed exclusives if that's the strategy they're going to take, because they've got to do something, right?
Absolutely, yeah, good point. Yeah,
Microsoft doing it is, I mean, it's not clear what these. Do you know what I hate? I hate this time of year where everything's rumours and up in the air. I love Miles's video and Colt's video. They both covered these brilliantly, but for me, I want time to skip forwards a couple of months and these things to be solid information that we can really talk about. I hate the rumour mill. I hate Twitter at this time of year where everyone's like, oh yeah, I totally know this thing. It's not clear enough for me to actually say what it is. And I'm not talking about you two again, because clearly you do know some things.
Like you're talking about Colt and Miles there. Like,
no, there's people with information and there's other people that try and cling on to it. Like, oh, this news that I knew about is spilling now. Give me credit. Yeah. No, shush. I just don't like this time of year. Move it forward a couple. But that wasn't your question still. So Microsoft reaching out to third parties, if they've got content gaps, you absolutely want to see them do it. Whether that's the case that they are denying other people games. I'm not a fan of removing games from other platforms, but you absolutely want to see these content gaps filled. Everyone that's bought a console, one of these next-gen consoles, be it a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series console, is waiting on games. So whatever Microsoft need to do to make it happen, make it happen. And if the third-party games aren't ready for it, make the deals that you need to, but give us something to play. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fine with it.
Ultimately, yeah, since I was really intrigued about your take, because and it's quite interesting to hear you say that, you know, despite the fact that you have a disdain for third-party timed exclusives because of how aggressive Microsoft is in this space, that almost excuses Sony to do these deals, because ultimately it has to do something, right? That's interesting. I've not heard that before, that ultimately that that thing is okay when it was
It's not. So
allowed.
just to be clear, it doesn't make it like better for consumers. It's not a nicer proposition. I'm just saying it's hard
It's
to
an
begrudge
understanding.
Sony if they go out and do it, because they're kind of in a corner and they're going to do what they need to.
That's interesting. Like a few years ago, you said Sony's in a corner and Microsoft is the market leader. Colt, you said this in a
Yeah.
before I reach on that, sorry, I don't want to break the checkers, but I have to shout out to our lovely members who are donating very generously. Blast the Base, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Did I miss the source? No, the source has just begun, bro. And there's a source video dropping soon, and the source video that I'm dropping is so saucy, even I'm a bit worried about how much sauce I'm creating. But yeah, the source is definitely, you haven't missed the source, bro. It's just begun. Lord Ruffner's $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Lord Ruffner. 23 studios making 35 games. Obviously, those games are coming out in the next 8 months left of the year. What? Are coming out in the next 8 months left of this year. Front debunked.
Well, I mean, there are a bunch of ID at Xbox games that are coming to Xbox first. I think there should be 20 plus games on the way before that probably won't get delayed. Probably about 20 games, I would assume, from now until the end of the year that will come to Xbox. The Xbox Wired article promised 30 games like 3 months ago from now until the end of the year, but some stuff is still developers aren't and publishers aren't giving solid dates yet. They wait till they're ready to go gold. I don't blame them. This community is ruthless when a game gets delayed, or when a game gets shown and it's not like 102% complete. So that's really become a problem. So the Ascent is coming very soon. If we could just get them to explain when they're going to be out.
Well, to the people who haven't seen or aren't on Twitter, so basically, the Ascent official Twitter thing reached out, tagged you in something, and maybe body shamed you or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. So the Ascent is a top-down, third-person, like Diablo style range shooter game. I guess kind of the way to explain it. 4-player co-op, and their Twitter account is run by. I love how you put that on the screen. You guys are so awesome. Yeah, you guys are incredibly professional. I love it. So they have like this persona for their Twitter account, for their social media, where they pretend like they are the Ascent Corporation run by, robotic AI, and they belittle people on social media. And when people are, hey, when's your game coming out? They yell at them with a computer voice. So and a lot of Xbox fans have been kind of following along and enjoying this really cool social media thing. And so they said, for everyone who asked us when the game is coming out, we will add 47,586 years to the release date. And so I was just being cheeky, and I did like a math equation of 47,000 hours from January 1st would put us at May 20th, but games usually release on a Thursday. So I said, so all I replied was, so May 21st, huh? And that really ticked them off, because I might have guessed it, but I don't know. But they turned around and added me and said that they think that Colt Eastwood has the most body hair, which is so random. Anyway, it's just cool seeing developers excited about their game, having fun online, and interacting with soon-to-be fans. This game looks really cool.
Well, Ascent looks killer, and if you get that date right by retrofitting, going back to January, then working out the Thursday is usually the day release, and you get May 21st, you are instant legend. Even Sony fans.
It's just a stab in the dark with a Q-tip. It's not a big deal, but I just think it's really cool. I also think that Xbox's like partners and publishers, they're waiting. If we kind of look, right, Miles, they're waiting like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month to announce when they're releasing because of Game Pass. Or maybe
you're going to see that more and more where we're getting release dates, less than a month out.
So if the Ascent really happened to be May 21st, like we would probably hear about it the first part of May. That's what I would think. So if I happen to be like blindly lucky, correct about this, which I don't think I am, but I think it's funny that they had to call me out for it.
But if you're lucky around May, it doesn't turn to be exactly 21st May. If it's like near that 20 May, that I still think props to you because, you took a stab at the dark. Most people wouldn't even bother to do some calculations like you did. And it's also it's a sign that their Twitter is starting to be more active. Maybe, they are leading.
They're really, yes, they are ramping up their activity, and that usually means they're getting ready to get people hyped up so that it's on their mind. They know to go buy the game or to be ready to get Game Pass if they don't have it. I think it's just a really exciting time. If you're an Xbox fan or you're a Game Pass subscriber, every 2 weeks you have something to look forward to as far as an announcement for something juicy and new to play.
Yeah, man.
Saucy.
You Miles loves the sauce. Isma, thank you so much for the $5 Canadian super chat. Always love and appreciate your support. As long as Microsoft puts their third-party games like Battlefield 6 on Game Pass Day 1, I'm okay with not having first-party games 2021, 2022. Anyway, love you all. Love the show. Love you, Isma. Thank you so much, man. I know it's a new Twitter profile. Looking saucy. Miles, so Isma alludes to the fact that, it's okay to have these third-party deals buy time for till next year. Are you okay with that? Because are you okay with not seeing first-party games?
We thankfully with Xbox, we have a pretty good idea of what the future looks like. It wasn't, it was a weird story when people were talking about Fable being a couple of years out because, we saw a CG tease for that game, and that is it. So stuff like that, we knew that was years out. We know a lot of the biggest games that they have are a couple of years out. So it will be nice to have something to kind of fill the gap. We know the first half of this year, at the very least, isn't going to be that packed for Xbox first party. And realistically, I think Halo is still going to be like the big premiere release for 2021. COVID has complicated things. I'm sure there were other games that maybe were supposed to launch this fall or roughly around there that are probably getting pushed into spring more than likely. Game Pass is the metric. Game Pass is the vision. Game Pass is the future. So Xbox is going pretty hard, and I'm sure we'll see several big third-party like day and date releases. Like Outriders, I think in the grand scheme of things is going to be pretty pale in comparison to, again, I'm not confirming anything here. But
he just said Outriders is going to pale in comparison to some of the things. I'm just repeating what you said. So again, I'm not confirming anything here, but some of the stuff we've heard about in terms of these partnerships in Game Pass are going to be massive. Obviously, MLB The Show was, like I said a couple weeks ago, nothing's
just
off the table.
Taste.
Nothing's off the table after the show. That was, Game Pass and evil genius Phil Spencer working behind the scenes to set the stage for what the rest of this year is going to look like. So,
man, Phil Spencer. If I ever meet you, I'm going to give you the biggest hug. I don't care if it's COVID or not. But I was going to also ask you because we didn't have you on the show when this was happening. There's this rumor mill, and you've talked about these 4 deals don't include Kojima. How likely do you think this Kojima deal is happening? Because
I think it's very likely. I think it's all but confirmed at this point. Like for me, nothing's official until I see some sort of official documentation or until I have my hands or eyes on something that tells me this is definitely happening. But the amount of stuff that I've heard from people like Jeff Grubb, I've gotten some other information that has said like Phil Spencer and Kojima have met for sure. 100% have met.
That's so weird.
Likely to discuss a collaboration like this. And we look at Death Stranding. Death Stranding did well. People want to, especially in the Xbox community, people try to spin this narrative that Death Stranding is a bad game and whatever. Kojima doesn't have value. But Kojima as a creator, especially in the web of Xbox Game Studios and Xbox Game Pass as a vessel for his weird brand of just creativity, I think that is just a match made in heaven. And we know PlayStation wasn't super stoked on Death Stranding sales. It sold fine. Like it wasn't a bad selling game, but it wasn't this huge monumental success that made PlayStation tons of money. So for Kojima to go back to PlayStation and get the same level of funding is probably very unlikely. But
Yeah.
Xbox, Phil Spencer on that phone, hey, what's up? What's your next project looking like? Let's see what you're working on. Let's talk. Kojima, baby, let's see what we can do here. Let's make some deals. So yeah, I think it's incredibly likely that we see at least one Kojima project with an Xbox banner associated to it. You know, I threw out the wild idea on Twitter the other day, and this is just a wild idea, just for clarity for everyone here.
Okay,
I don't have any information that says this is real, but I'm in the camp that there's a possibility that Kojima Productions is being acquired by Xbox. And this isn't necessarily a global publishing partnership, but this is a full-on acquisition. Again, I don't have any documents or anything that says this is actually happening. This is just kind of my thought process with what information we have about the global partnerships and what information we have about Kojima.
Oh man, if that happens, I tell you right now, yeah, the source video, I'll need someone call the hospital when that happens, because there's gonna be sauce pouring from my pores, bro. That would be insane. I mean, the Kojima thing alone is gonna be mad. Like, Colt, that'd be huge, no? Like, say what you want about Death Stranding, but
I will
Kojima,
actually.
what
I
do you
would
think
actually
about
like to say what I will about Death Stranding.
Say it. Say it.
There was a couple people that accused, people just they make an assumption and just complain about somebody like me, that they think that I know what I like or what I don't like. There's a narrative that I said Death Stranding is trash. That's funny because on our podcast, I'm on this podcast called RDX Podcast on Tuesdays, and the guys were, they were pointing out all the flaws with Death Stranding, how it wasn't being received well, and when it was on its way up, and I'm like, guys, this game's going to be a 9 out of 10. It's going to be either a high 8 or a low 9. Like, Kojima never fails, so like, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And the game came out, and two people that I really trust their opinion that played the game, Solid Rev and Randall Thor 19, both really liked the game. And it's not a game I would ever play probably, but I'll eventually will. So I never have anything bad to say about Death Stranding because I've never played it. I don't talk trash about games I haven't played. I can play Outriders for 20 hours and say, well, that was a game. And I can give my opinion because I played it. So I'm allowed to be excited if Kojima makes something, but I've been pretty upfront that there's not a lot of his stuff that I've really liked. I've played maybe about half of it, but he's just not my type of game developer, I guess. I really loved the first Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, like really, really liked it. And then I played Metal Gear 4 on my PS3 and I was like, what is this? This is too weird for me. I couldn't get into it. Everybody's different. But it's a huge boon to Xbox if he comes over and makes like the biggest cinematic game he can make, and it only releases on Xbox platform. So that's a big deal.
There'll be so much shit flying on the internet, and I will be loving every second of it. You know,
there's a certain type of group that would not be able to handle Kojima officially working with Xbox. That would be emotionally difficult time for them.
In these trying times, I just want
just like, oh, it's like I don't know. It's good to get passionate, like be emotionally passionate about stuff you love, but it sucks when you lose something, lose the opportunity to play a game on your favorite platform. But that's what comes with competition. Miles is right when he says that Phil doesn't really want to do timed exclusives, but he kind of has to. And he's going to do timed exclusives. Both PlayStation and Xbox are loaded with timed exclusives this year and into the next year. That's how it is.
Yeah, Forsaken looks sick. That's one of the best looking games.
Forspoken.
Forspoken.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Yeah, and
that
that's
weird name. Yeah.
Yeah, Forspoken, and that's a 2-year timed exclusive. That looks sick. That game looks mad. So that's a big win. People I think are sleeping on Forspoken and Returnal. Man, Returnal is a PlayStation.
Returnal looks really great. Yeah.
Colt, just before I read the super chats, why can you not say good things about PlayStation games? Because I saw your comment on Returnal on the official trailer. I said, this looks amazing. And everyone jumped in your throat, man. They just can't reconcile the fact they can like PlayStation games.
Yeah,
Why-
when the Returnal put out a 2-minute trailer, it was really great. Showcased the creatures that you're going to be fighting and like Twitch Reflex and I said this game looks incredible. Next Machina was outstanding, and this is like on another level because this is their first like cinematic AAA game.
Yeah,
And
3D
and like I don't know, maybe like 50 PlayStation fans jumped down my throat and said, you're an Xbox fanboy. Why are you here? And but it didn't last very long. It didn't last very long. They got embarrassed by the rest of everybody else told them that they have a real problem if somebody can't come in and say a PlayStation game looks good. Yeah. I mean, they didn't buy my PS5. I did.
yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Isma, thank you again for the $5 super chat. This is Microsoft's best strategy, in my opinion, is to keep making deals like Outriders on Game Pass. Third-party games are the most played games. Make it cheaper on Xbox. You're absolutely right, and the news is spreading in the gaming verse beyond the core gaming circles. I'm starting to hear from my friends like, "Oh, is it free?" They think it's free. I mean, they know it's a subscription service. Everyone gets hung up on this free label. It's not really free to pay for Game Pass. Yeah, everyone knows that. Like, just shut up. Everyone knows what you're actually talking about. It means just common sense, man. I swear to God, some people are so stupid. But I shouldn't say that. But yeah, Spartan Ghost 17 £2 super chest. Is Sony soon to Netflix? Square soon to Xbox?
Gosh.
What does that mean? Is it like Sony soon to Netflix? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're talking about Sony is possibly looking at a Game Pass competitor that includes Sony Pictures movie and TV packages.
So I caught wind of it. I don't know where it came from. There was a rumor, and you know how I love rumors, so I didn't engage with it. But there was a rumor that Netflix would want to buy Sony.
Oh.
What?
Well,
what? Really? That's a bit weird. Square. So the Square thing's been debunked. I can, like, Miles, you followed this, right? The Square Enix thing.
Oh yeah, there was the report from Bloomberg Japan that came out like late in the night, basically saying that Square Enix was, potentially going to be bought out by 3 different parties, and then we had people like Nick Baker of Xbox Era say Microsoft's involved, Sony's involved, and then there was a bunch of speculation about who the other third party might be, whether it's Tencent or somebody like that. And then Square basically came out and said the next morning, like, hey, we're not for sale, we haven't had any offers, etc. Where I stand with that is, I don't think Bloomberg would report on that just because, like, this isn't.
Wait. Jason Schreier works there. He makes up all sorts of stuff.
I'm not gonna touch that. But an outlet like that, you don't just write that article because this isn't Reset Era. This isn't some random blog. This isn't you just kind of quoting a YouTuber or a tweet and just saying this is happening, guys. There was a lot more to that. And from an optics perspective, if you are Square, you can't say this is happening. You have to.
But their statement was really definitive. It's like they're saying they could have stopped at saying we're not looking to be sold. They said we've not even had any offers. No, they said like that was quite definitive.
That wasn't definitive because they haven't had a formal offer. So that's still
exactly. See that? Yeah, the wording was very specific on that. They didn't say we will never sell. We don't have anyone interested in giving us an offer. They said they haven't had any offers. So I don't really know. Again, I haven't seen anything that says that for sure this is happening, but I'm not going to rule out Square Enix being bought by PlayStation or Xbox at this point, because again, Bloomberg Japan isn't just going to write that unless they had some sort of good information pointing to that. It's
a weird one though, isn't it? Like there's smoke, there's fire. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're Square, again, for your investors' sake, you can't. It's a really bad look if you come out and say, "Yeah, people are making offers. There's going to be a sale," and then for whatever reason that doesn't go through. That is a really bad look for your investors, and they're gonna be like, "What's going on? Are we not in good shape?" So there's a lot of kind of financial and legal complications if you announce something like that before it's finalized, because no matter what happens, if it doesn't end up going through, it's bad optics for your investors. So Again, I don't know realistically, but I'm definitely not in the camp that this is definitively not happening.
And
Okay,
as
that's
a player,
interesting.
though, so as a player, what's the best possible outcome there?
It's tough. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
the association with Square Enix and PlayStation is throwing so much money at Square right now to get that brand association. They want, even though it's not a first-party game, they want Final Fantasy to be a PlayStation franchise. As we've seen with Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're past the year mark now. And we've
not
heard
a word. And
not a word.
I told people to quit waiting on that on Xbox. It's not going to happen.
So it's one of those things where, again, maybe this was a 2-year deal as well, because PlayStation at this point, they need those big games, those third-party associations like Final Fantasy.
Miles, what did Final Fantasy VII say on the box? Like that's what everyone was going with to get the game on Xbox a year later. Did it say something like exclusive at least until or something on the sticker?
There was something weird, yeah. When they first revealed
Look it up.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, I feel like there was like an Xbox logo or something in like the initial reveal trailer. Maybe I'm just making that up, but there was something pointing to the fact that this is not forever a PlayStation exclusive.
Here it is. It says PlayStation exclusive plays first on PS4. And then it says asterisk timed exclusive until 3/3/21. That is far gone. I thought it was April.
That's what it was. That's where the whole like 1-year exclusive narrative was born from. Was that because that was the original release date? Obviously got pushed back. I don't like to constantly drink the Xbox Game Pass Kool-Aid, but I think if you are Square and if you are a player, I think Xbox Game Pass is the best way to have Square actually make all these incredible IP that they're sitting on, because there's a huge portfolio of amazing Square IP that is untouched, because from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time and effort developing a game that might not sell incredibly well. But with the flexibility of Game Pass, a lot of those IPs have a chance to get new life, get a reboot that maybe wouldn't happen before. So that's the reason I would want to see it with Xbox. I think it would probably be in great hands either way. I think from what we've kind of heard more recently of PlayStation's approach, I don't think that's going to expand the scope of Square Enix IPs. I think we're going to get a lot more Final Fantasy, a lot more big Square games, but I love the weird, obscure Square stuff. And again, I think Game Pass is the best chance of us getting a new Bushido Blade. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good point. And Miles, I'm going to go touch upon this point that's been doing the rounds with David Jaffe's been talking about this environment where these smaller vibrant titles thrive, and how that is no longer possible on PlayStation. And I'll touch upon that later, but that's a very good point. But I was going to say to you while you were talking about that, it makes also a lot of sense for Microsoft to acquire someone like Square Enix, where that will bolster their, appeal in territories like Japan, where they've perpetually struggled there. It makes sense for them to do that.
Phil is invested in making Japan work for Xbox. They want more Japanese developed games on Xbox, and they want more brand association in Japan, whether that be through the console space or mobile specifically. So Square would be a huge get. There's a ton of brand association with Square Enix in Japan. So yeah, if you're trying to grow your presence in Japan, instead of trying to start a new studio or build up a new team that's like, this is a new Japanese studio, it makes way more sense.
Them.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes way more sense to go to a Square, go to a Capcom, go to somebody that's super established as a Japanese publisher, and just kind of be like, hey, this is Team Xbox now. This is who we are. This is why this is amazing. And these are the games we're going to make.
Yeah, definitely. There's that. Okay, well, I kind of wrote it off, but I'm glad you guys are better lawyers than I am, because you can read through the line between the lines. So yeah, it's good. Lord Roughness, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. He says, how do we class Second Extinction? I think it's an indie game, not any A's. He goes, how many A's? Would it be an indie game?
No, it's a AA game. It's made by one of Avalanche's teams. One of them works on Mad Max and Just Cause 3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's the Avalanche team. And then they have another team. I don't know what the variation of the name is, but they're the ones that are making Second Extinction, and it's going in game preview, I think, very soon.
Okay.
So it's a 3-player co-op first-person dinosaur killer.
Dinosaur killing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it says out in a fortnight. Oh, so he says it's out in a fortnight and not much being said, even though it looks awesome. It does look great.
What does that mean? It's out in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the 27th, right? Something like that.
Is it?
It's the end of this month. Yeah, last week of this month.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, I think you're right, Lord Roughness. I did wonder, and I said like the legend that he is playing it on screen now. This game is the kind of game that might not might make big noise, but when it does come out, I think the hype with people playing it, enjoying it, is one of those that will thrive when people start talking about it. It's something like I can see on the PC side of things that really does well later on after it's released. So hopefully it does. One, hope it's good a game. It looks really good, and two, I hope it gets the traction it deserves. So yeah, CYV Studio, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says, let's go, great panel. Colt, be nice. Colt's always nice.
Mhm.
I love that. That's your trademark.
Except when I don't feel like it.
Yeah. No, you're always nice. Psychonos, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Goes, saucy panel, and I love the sauce is just spreading. I saw a restaurant called The Sauce. I swear I want to just sue them, but I'm pretty sure I can't do that. They even had the little bloody bottle logo and everything. It's stupid. But we also need The Sauce. Yeah, I know, man. I know. What's that? Sorry, my screen's gone down. Dead Planet, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It goes, everyone's in a tizzy over the... Oh, yeah, so... Everyone's in a tizzy over the Fable Perfect Dark Everwild news. Don't classify it as news. There's Christopher Dring guy's speculation. Well, he did say that he knew some people at Xbox. So hearsay.
He also
But yeah.
retracted it as I heard. Or
Oh, did he? Okay.
yeah, I mean, I guess he kind of just said I was just speaking off the cuff and kind of
Yeah.
joking.
It was kind of obvious anyway, but a lot of people like. But then at the same time, he did say, "I've been speaking to my Xbox friend." So like, well, make up your mind. You know, you gotta be careful with these things.
Yeah, it's
Christopher
just
Dring-
it gets irritating when people hear something and then everyone just starts making reports on it. I'm like, did any of these outlets like go back and take a look at like
Yeah.
what was in the pipeline or how long these studios normally work on their games? And yeah, it's just that's why I made the video. I'm like, I can stop for a second and take a look at what has Ninja Theory been doing? When did they start Hellblade? When do we think we'll show gameplay? When do they think that game will come out? You know,
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, and that's a sick thing about your video. So you actually went about, and then you had a list of all these games, and you had like the median kind of date or expected release date.
Yeah, what I actually
Really
did
the
was I sat down with Randall Thor 19 and we talked each studio. I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Well, it could be this year, could be this year." And then we kind of like said, "Well, what about this? And you think that this is delayed longer? They normally put out a game in 3 or 4 years." And we came down to a number, and then I put that list on screen. Like, people just need to take a second and use some reason, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Dead Planet actually touches on I think another sentiment that you touched in your video as well, which is what a lot of people are thinking. He goes, yeah, everyone's over a tizzy over this Fable Everwild speculation news, whatever. But meanwhile, I'm over here excited about whatever the hell Compulsion and In Exile are working on.
Yeah, that's another reason why I did the videos. Like, you can't boil down 23 studios to just 3 games and say those are ways out. Like, you have to realize they have like almost 30 projects in the works right now, and some of them are coming out at the end of the year or have been moved the very beginning of next year. So I don't know.
That's what I was thinking about. That's immediately what I thought about. So Dead Planet, you're right, and you're not alone in thinking that. We are very excited about all these multitudes of other studios on top of all these AAA, you know, third-party deals that Miles won't tell us about. Mokwama, what's up? Shout out to Dr. Mo. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Sauce, baby. Yes, we're swimming in the sauce. Thank you so much for that. Oh, and Isma, another $2 Canadian super chat. I need the logo behind Gaz and Asa. Dodge Knight actually made that with lead. So if I die from lead poisoning, that's his fault. Maybe he will sell it to you, or you'll send it to you. But shout out to the Dodge Knight. He's got a really bad hay fever. He was actually in the studio, but yet to leave. But yeah, you know, look at that. How sexy does that look? Asa's got a fake one. He's just taking a screenshot of the old one.
The illusion.
I'm pretty sure the illusion is not strong. Oh god. Wilmy Heard, shout out to Wilmy Heard in the chat. He goes, why would you tell us, Miles? How dare you? But Miles, you also alluded to in your video, Xbox has, and I granted these are prototypes, 3 prototypes with third parties. What is so exciting about these prototypes?
Well, those are one and the same. So of the 4, again, we talk about these projects. Some of these are in the prototyping phase, meaning they have gotten approval to start working on what this game will be. This is the idea for the game. So the ones I talked about previously, like the Cyclone, that is the furthest along, but the other 3 are very early prototyping stages. So again, it's not common in the video game industry for something to be in the prototyping phase and never leave that. Maybe the idea just isn't good enough to continue with. They can't make the engine work, whatever the case might be. But yeah.
But what are they like Japanese centric games? Are they single player games? Are they what?
So yeah, like I'll reiterate some of the stuff we've publicly said. You know, the Cyclone game is that big kind of unique online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Another one is, again, like I said,
I like the sound of that.
A game being developed by a team in a genre that they have never developed a game in, and something that I never would have even considered this particular team to develop a game in, that will be massive in scope.
Massive in scope, okay.
Mm-hmm. And again, yeah, like I said at the top, like we are being very specific with the information that we put out there. Again,
okay. When do you think we'll find out about these things? When? Because surely whoever's divulged it to you has divulged it because it's like either, you know, it's coming out. The announcement is soonish, right? The Cyclone one, let's call it the Cyclone game.
That's the only one that I see coming soonish. The other 3, I don't even think we'll hear about them for 2 years.
Okay, what about this big Monday reveal that people are like nattering about?
Oh, so that is Brad Rossetti, who's part of the Xbox Insider program. He basically teased that there will be a big new feature coming on Monday to the Xbox Insider program. And he said something to the effect of, this isn't one you'll want to miss, or something like that. So it's a feature for the Xbox platform coming to Xbox Insiders, but that one honestly caught me by surprise. I haven't heard anything, so I'm not sure what that is. It's not like a big game reveal, if that's what.
Colt knows the source. What is? Go. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably an Xbox Wired article, I guess, at 6 a.m. on the West Coast, like they do. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Just more exciting stuff. Like the industry is evolving and stretching out and becoming more flexible and just more accessible. So
accessible, stretching out. This sounds like broadening out of core gaming spaces. Are you alluding to cloud stuff? Are you alluding to mobile? I
mean, it's. I think things are. Some things are like, oh, that's pretty cool, but like once you start using these things in practice, think of it like this just came to me just now, but like quick resume. I remember I was like, oh, I'll probably use that. I love quick resume. Yeah. And it's like, I wish it was on everything. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Like this is a big thing that everyone else will do. It's cool, man. We'll find out really soon. I wish I could like get ahead of it, but I don't know for sure exactly all the details. So I don't know. It's just good. I think we're gonna just hear some more happy news for Xbox fans. So
but this is the thing. This is so I'll say it. It's uncharacteristic of Xbox to have such a longish streak of positivity.
It's because Xbox is super proactive. They were sitting down for like 4 or 5 years with almost no funding, almost told they had to just close up shop. And now Phil just constantly goes back to Satya and says, hey, I want to invest here. What do you think? And Satya is saying, I'm just kind of saying, paraphrasing. Satya must be telling Phil, yeah, I mean, what you're doing is working. Yeah, I trust you. Go ahead. Because that's what it seems like. Hey, we want to do this. We think this will work. And he's like, well, the last thing you brought to me worked. Let's see where we're going. And I think what that means is things are changing. We're seeing it every couple weeks, right, Miles? Like every couple weeks there's some little tidbit for Xbox. Either it's a Game Pass announcement that's different that we wouldn't expect, or there's some new thing that is moving forward. And it's been like that all year long.
It's been incredible, the amount of momentum that they've been able to sustain. It's every single week there is something that gets Xbox in the headlines for one reason or another. And that's exactly what they want, because that brand awareness doesn't go away. Every single week, it doesn't matter if you're super invested in the gaming space, somebody somewhere sees this and tells you about it. So you have, again, like Gaz said earlier, I have like my friends who are outside of the gaming space, like, whoa, I just heard about the MLB or whatever it is. And stuff like that goes a long way for broadening the appeal of Xbox. And Xbox, as much as they want to make sure that they are fostering and, you know, cultivating an environment for the hardcore, they are super invested in just making gaming accessible for more people. And they are more than welcome and open to having more people from, you know, any space come and play Xbox on Xbox Game Pass or whatever the service might be. So it's their marketing team is just, shout out to them. Like, they've been winning a bunch of awards. Everything that they've been doing on the marketing front has been top tier, which is, again, probably some of the reason you're seeing this kind of like discontent in the PlayStation fandom, because they're killing it. They're undeniably, like, even if you don't love Xbox, like, their marketing is on point right now.
Well, you touched upon something that is literally a very good segue into my next topic. Before I go to that, Mokwama is saying, I need to know what kind of mic Colt is using. I need an upgrade. That's not mic. That's his larynx. He's got a naturally deep, amazing voice.
Exclusive.
Oh, did bloody Fonzarelli just record your voice for that little soundbite?
No, I wish. I'd need a little bit of reverb, and I'd probably be able to nail that pretty good.
Yeah, you did that pretty good job there. Captain Chats, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. It says, great talk, guys. Any news on xCloud? Your videos, Colt. Big fan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. iOS has been a long time coming, but I kept hearing that it was around the corner, and then we're hearing again that it's around the corner. Miles, have you heard anything about iOS?
Yeah, like, that's pretty much been closer. Like, it's coming to testing soon, and it's just been that for weeks and weeks. So it's coming. It'll be here sometime, but yeah, I don't know what the date is at this point.
They got over the hurdle that Apple kind of made it difficult, so they got over that at least.
Yeah, so that's the big one. So hopefully,
because it's kind of a bummer right now that they say on iOS or they say on Android devices, and they can't say iOS. Because Android has like a million different devices. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out to the 390 plus people watching. Smash that like button, boys and girls. Just smash that thing. Just smash the shit out of it. I don't know what it does. I think it helps, but just smash it. But I was going to go back to this topic, Miles. So none of this operates in a vacuum. And this is partially what my source video is about. God, PlayStation guys are going to hate me, but it's the reflection of the state of the industry. Whilst Xbox is doing really well, and the marketing, which was really bad last generation, I have to say, it was so bad, to have this remarkable turnaround is amazing. Whereas Sony, PlayStation is under fire. Like, I don't know if you watched Colin Moriarty, and that guy really wants PlayStation to do really well, and he's feeling almost personally. His feelings are hurt there, man. Colin Moriarty, he blatantly loves PlayStation, but that's fine. It's all good, man. That's fine. But am I remiss in suggesting that this is unprecedented critique against PlayStation? We haven't seen this kind of bad PlayStation press since the hacking fiasco. I can't think of the last time PlayStation was in the defensive, at least in terms of core gaming marketing view. I want to come to Asa in a bit, because I can keep seeing him pulling faces. But Miles, Colt, one of you guys, just tell me.
Well, I want to ask Miles, because I want to wait a second, because I have a very polarizing opinion of Colin Moriarty's call to action from PlayStation. Did you watch this thing, Miles?
I did, yeah. I saw at least like the 1 or 2 minute clip that's kind of been like circulating around Twitter, because yeah, I'm not the biggest like watcher of his content at this point, but yes, I did see that specific clip.
So, Colt, what is your divisive little thing? Just we love the source.
Not divisive. I argued with my friends about this. I think what I saw when Colin Moriarty did this 10-minute rant and his co-host sat there with his hands folded and didn't say anything. I think what I saw was a man who's been in, how do I say this? Because they didn't like the way I said it. A man who has been around the console war, but not a console warrior. Like he's been around it because he's worked for the gaming outlet where it exists and he has to deal with it. Yeah. Because I guess I should start it this way. This is super hard to say.
Just be raw, man. Just say it. We know what you want to say.
Here's what it is. PlayStation has a lot of stuff in the pipeline. They're going to have games. He's really praying that they will. I think it's silly. Now Xbox has over double, almost triple the studios. They have 2 times more AAA studios than PlayStation. So he is quite a bit threatened by that. And he wants to play mainly on the PlayStation. So what I saw was someone here it is just raw.
Just raw.
I saw someone who was upset that Xbox was getting the fire and the applause and the excitement and the synergy, and PlayStation wasn't, and that bothered him. I don't think he was concerned that PlayStation wasn't deliver. I think he knows they'll deliver. He seemed to have given a couple of prayers that they would, but I saw someone who was upset that Xbox was on fire in the news, exciting fans, and they weren't exciting the fans that he rallies around. That's the way I took it. That's the sauce. That's the sauce.
This is why we do what we do.
And I'll bookend it by saying I know Colin Moriarty knows that PlayStation is going to be awesome, and they've been awesome ever since they came out. Yeah. And I'm not worried about PlayStation. I'm worried about PlayStation not doing the extra things to get ahead. Now, I want to take a moment here because JV in the chat was like, Xbox is not the market leader. PlayStation is killing it in North America, but Xbox doing everything in the entire gaming sphere, xCloud, Game Pass, making the console do what a console should do with quick resume, the things everything that Xbox provides, and stuff that you're going to hear about tomorrow. They are forward-thinking, future-proofing, bringing things to gamers that all gamers are looking forward to. PlayStation did another PlayStation 4, another PlayStation 3 with the 5. They gave you everything you've known to love and been loyal to, and they're going to continue to make cinematic games. They're going to not take risks by doing other smaller games. They're going to provide the action adventure open world games that are beloved and award-winning, and that's excellent. But Xbox will be providing dozens and dozens of games and striking dozens of deals and bringing more flexibility and more variety and more to play on the platform. I think that's why they're leading the market, and people aren't ready to accept it yet because there's a change into the guard. Things are different. I'm not saying that PlayStation is going to lose in sales and everyone's going to migrate away from Xbox. That's totally impossible. I'd never say that. What you are going to see is a lot of PlayStation fans go and buy an Xbox and put it next to their PlayStation. And that's where Xbox led with the 360.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just me who has the sauce; it's the bloody Colt Eastwood has been.
And these people who say that I can't talk without a script, like it's so ridiculous. Like I do my video script. I want a nice, tight, produced video. But these are the things I know. I read the stuff. I've watched the trajectory. I've talked to people who are smart, who know what's going on, like Miles. Talked to Jez. Talked to Randolph Thor. It is a great change. And if you go and buy an Xbox Series S because you want to come in cheap, or you go buy a PC because you want to be on the Xbox platform and enjoy all the benefits that come with Game Pass and all that, it's all available to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, it's not outlandish, and I'm glad you remove the filter and call it. Colin, man, I'd love to have him on the thing. I've tried to invite him. I don't know how to get a hold of him, but it's that kind of position of wanting to do well. You know, we were all there last generation. Some of us liked Xbox and wanted to do well. But I want to touch, to allude to that, there's a point you made there, Colt. Actually, before I go there, and I really, my ADHD is not that great. I want to read the super chat. Tip Top Dalton one. Thank you so much for the $1 super chat, but no message. Isma Easy, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. The problem about PlayStation is fans not seeing the problem. I actually really agree with you that. Well, I'm going to touch up on that. That's a good point. That's a good comment. Tip Top Dalton with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that, man. I think you made a mistake maybe in the first super chat, but it's appreciated. Hey, do you think Xbox should give us options to choose what frame rate, resolution, and settings we want to our liking? Like on PC, we should have that option to switch up our mix of our settings. We kind of get that quite a bit now with consoles, right? You got frame rate mode or performance mode or resolution mode. I don't think you're going to get the kind of. It's a lot of work. Devs have to do a lot of work with even just dealing with the Series S and then X, and then on top of that, factoring in all these mini settings, right, guys? I just want to quickly touch that. That's not going to happen.
Not for that reason. Not for that reason. So, I mean, you've got a specific set of hardware that they can target an optimized experience for. I'm actually the opposite to most people. Most people want their quality or performance options that we're seeing a lot nowadays, and I hate that. Personally, I'm a PC gamer primarily, and I'll tweak my settings and get everything as good as I want them, and if it's not good enough, I'll spend more and make it better, right? Because I'm fussy like that. But when I sit down with a console, I want the developers to optimize my experience, and I want to plug it in and I want to play it. And I hate when you get that option. It always feels, to me, I know people love it, but to me it feels like, what do you want to compromise? You can't have everything.
That's what it is.
Do you want to lose your nice reflections, or do you want the game to play well? Like you can't have everything, and it feels horrible to make that choice. So I'd rather they just made it for me and gave me their best.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Deadpan Xbox is a trailblazer. PlayStation is still living in 2016. I want to touch upon that because what the hell is that? Wilmy Hood. Yeah. What the hell? I've not even seen that color on this channel before. Is that a $50 donation? Colt, the boss of the sauce. Wilmy, man, like that is an incredibly generous donation, man. And then he's appointed Colt as the boss of the sauce. How can you do that at the same time? It's fine, man.
No. I am a mere employee.
No. At that $50 super chat, you could take the throne. To be honest, that was a fatwa you just delivered there. That was amazing. So it was good, and I'm so glad you break out. Wilmy, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. It means a lot. It goes a long way to supporting this channel. And don't worry, I'll be watching Gaming Beyond the Box. And maybe returning fire on that. So thank you so much, and lovely guy, Wilmy. And yeah, thank you. And I've got a lot. I've never seen that color before. I thought my screen stopped working. Sorry, I'm really sorry about this.
Colazogas.
There you go. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Colazogas. For the Source Fund, thank you so much. It makes a lot of differences, and I know it sounds stupid. I mean it. It goes back into content creation. All of it goes back into content. Nothing goes into our pockets. Trust me.
Let me say another thing, because a guy in the chat is still trying to explain how PlayStation will be the market leader. Market leader doesn't mean who sells the more, just because of the word market. What they talked about the market leader, like the 360 led the market. When multiplats were reviewed, they were mostly reviewed on the Xbox instead of the PlayStation. That was one of the things where they led the market. The Xbox was referred to first many times, even though they had the red ring. Like, it was pretty crazy. The market leader means way more than console numbers sold. And I think I got attacked because MPD numbers showed that PlayStation was selling like 2 million more units than Xbox. That's so cockamamie, because the Xbox platform runs across PC, runs across 2 different console SKUs, 2 different types of consoles. And Yoshida and Phil have both separately said that the active users and the people in their services are their measure of success, not the console units sold. And that needs to be repeated many times, because I think you get the simpletons in the fanboy segment that look, that they get a number, that get a pie chart gets popped right in front of them. They're like, oh, I can say smart things about market value and revenue stream and stuff like that. And I'm not super smart about that, but it will be obvious when one platform is leading over the other and is the go-to for the games media, and it's just different. It's not always the same every generation.
But even Sony's chief executive officer Kenichiro Yoshida has said, literally, this is his quote: "The business should be judged by the number of active users, not the number of hardware units sold. The guy is saying it from PlayStation. So guys, like, I get it. You'll pick the metric that will suit your narrative. That's not natural. But
also, PlayStation, they sent most of their shipments to North America to secure. It was in that Bloomberg report. Remember that PlayStation was sending more stock to North America because they knew that the title NPD was important to the world perception of how which console was selling more, and they also knew that their investors would be happy if they could say, we won MBD this month, we won MPD this month. And so that's like when people grab the MPD. I talked to somebody pretty prominent behind the scenes last night. Let me grab this really quick and I'll read this quote, but I won't tell you who it's from. Okay. Don't share my screen. No, I'm just kidding. He said, I'll have to censor it. MPD is so blanking out of date and stupid. MPD does not include consoles running in the cloud. Does MPD take into account Sony specifically prioritized US market and didn't allocate stock to Japan and other growing markets? MPD is irrelevant in 2021, in my opinion.
Okay, well,
that's one person's opinion that's like within the industry, but you can't look at North America and say this is who's winning. There's a big giant world out there, and PlayStation is doing really well in Europe and UK, and so it's like,
well, the PlayStation 5 is the fastest selling console in US history in both unit and dollar sales, and that is big, man. You gotta shout out to your boy Ken Kutaragi. I don't know. Shida, but whoever it is, they're doing their bits. Jim Ryan, he ain't gonna get fired anytime soon. The investors love him because that is a big.
He's making great money. Like fire Jim Ryan. No, he's doing really well. You may not like him because there's some things that he's not providing you that Xbox is, and eventually he will. They're already talking about it, so you'll have to be patient. Xbox gamers have to be patient for stuff they're waiting for. Sometimes PlayStation gamers have to be patient. Greatness awaits.
And I'm going to touch on this, Miles. I'm going to ask you about before that. This quick super chat. Games Lord, who obviously hasn't got a working space button. Thank you so much for the 10 HRK. He says, you are all acting as if Nintendo and Switch don't exist. Nintendo and Switch operate in its own lane, in its own universe. No one is like, Nintendo's on another planet, man. We're not even discussing Nintendo here.
And Nintendo doesn't lose.
It doesn't lose. It always wins. And Nintendo always wins. Nintendo is literally beyond. I don't know. Nintendo is the quintessential source. So don't. We're not talking about that. But Miles, what's happening with PlayStation? Like, what's fundamentally the problem? Because despite the fact that it's the fastest-selling U.S. console in history in both unit and dollar sales, it's getting smacked around as far as PR is concerned. What do you think is the principal reason behind that?
Yeah, and Colt made some excellent points on this, and a lot of it stems from the most vocal contingent of PlayStation fans. You have this kind of atmosphere with PlayStation where they've cultivated this, letting the fans direct the narrative of the PlayStation brand. So you have very loud people who love the fact that PlayStation historically has these great games that you can only play on PlayStation. Like when Colt commented on Returnal's video and said, this looks great. As Colt is in the Xbox space, people are like, you stay out of here. This is ours. This is ours. Only we get this. We love PlayStation because you don't get it. And there are people like that, and it's disgusting. But that is like this ravenous kind of fandom that they've built up. And we've seen this shift happen so many generations. What's incredibly fascinating to me is that the Xbox 360, as kind of this newcomer in the space, was able to surpass the juggernaut PlayStation 2, like the best-selling home console of all time. Xbox somehow managed to turn that narrative, build up all this momentum on the tail end of the Xbox. So going into that generation, they were in a good position. Exact opposite when, going into Xbox One, they lost a lot of momentum. PlayStation was doing a lot of great things with the PlayStation 3 into the PlayStation 4 cycle, coasted on that momentum, and, Xbox fumbled out of the gate. And so I don't think PlayStation's doom or gloom. Like, I'm not in the camp that PlayStation is going under, they're failing. We need to storm Sony headquarters, pull Jim Ryan out and execute him on the streets. I'm not in that camp. The thing is, Jim Ryan is not a good hype man. He's a good businessman, but he's just a nerd in some slacks. So people don't really connect with him in the same way that you have these people in the Xbox community who are out, vocal, interacting.
And gamers. Is Jim Ryan a gamer? Have you seen a picture of him holding a controller? He looks like he's out of proportion with it. He can't even barely hold a controller. Like someone was telling me, who was it? That they asked Jim Ryan, "What do you do in your spare time?" He didn't even mention gaming, man. What the hell do you want from that? Like that, what does that tell you? Come on, man. The guy is running PlayStation but doesn't play games.
Yeah, he's a great businessman, but there's no, you don't connect with him as an individual. And so the people most invested in the community, like us, the people in the chat hanging out watching, they look at Jim Ryan and they don't feel this sense of connection. They don't feel that he's invested in doing what's best for them. It's obvious that he's doing what's best for the business. The people at Xbox at least put on a better face about it. I know at the end of the day, they're trying to make money. That is the goal of a business. But I can look to someone like Phil Spencer and I can trust that he is invested in the gaming industry long term. He's not only doing it for the money. Like not at all. Phil Spencer is a genuinely passionate dude. And so there's this connection there. And then you have all this momentum where Xbox is constantly dominating the headlines, constantly has good PR. And then, like Colt said, you know, PlayStation is getting to the point where they are not going to be the market leader. NPD, like we talked about, is not the best metric for success in this day and age. It's an antiquated metric for success. People look to it because for a long time it was the definitive factor. You sold more consoles, you are better. That is very old-fashioned, and that metric and that narrative is disintegrating right in front of PlayStation fans' eyes. And so they once they lose that, you know, once both these companies have enough stock, because that's something nobody talks about right now as well, is both companies are selling out constantly. Yeah. So what is the moment? Is PlayStation 5 going to keep that momentum perpetually? Or what happens when Xbox sells more consoles? They have Xbox Series X's and S's in stock. What narrative are they going to shift to next? Because PlayStation, you know, they're not, we believe in generations. That disintegrated as well. PlayStation games can only be played on PlayStation consoles. That's disintegrating as well, with Jim Ryan coming out and saying that we're going to put stuff on PC. So all of these kind of fanboy narratives that people have been using to push PlayStation as a brand are disintegrating. And that's making people upset. Because like I talked about, the most vocal, hardcore PlayStation fans love the fact that some people don't get to play these games, and that's what they just get off on it, and it's strange, but I think that's where a lot of it comes from. So I don't think, generally speaking, there's this perception that PlayStation is doomed. I think if you go on Twitter and you look at people like Colin Moriarty rant because their team is losing, we have, you know, Seahawks versus the 49ers or whatever, whoever's playing, and you're on one side of the team and your team is losing, you're going to be upset. You're going to try to justify the reason they're losing. And, you know, at the end of the day, the tide is shifting. We saw this coming. Xbox has had so much positive momentum starting, you know, for over the last 3 years, and PlayStation's been losing momentum. And we're at a point now where PlayStation is kind of, again, they're not tanking, they're doing fine, but Xbox is going to surpass them in terms of, you know, appeal, general appeal, sales,
offering.
And, you know, when you take, it used to be that Xbox has no games. Xbox only has Gears, Forza, and Halo. And now we're in a world where if we wanted to be the petty Xbox assholes, we could be like, actually, PlayStation has no games. They only have God of War, The Last of Us, and Uncharted. That's all they have. And so that is upsetting as a PlayStation fan to hear that. And I'm hoping the next marketing program from Xbox is just Xbox has games. TM. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. That'd be good, because that would turn that narrative on its head. Shout out to the 411 people watching us, man. Smash that like button. Thank you so much for supporting us. It's great to have you guys watch us.
Miles, we got the Arby's meme. We've got the games.
We've got the games.
Oh,
and that's it's again, it comes from this place of PlayStation fans, the most vocal ones, not everyone, just love the fact that for the longest time, some people didn't get to play this stuff, and that's going away. We're going to see in the next 3 years, we're going to see day and date PlayStation games launching on PlayStation 5 and PC. And for some people, they don't want to hear that. They are gonna harass me on Twitter because I said that, and that's
or they'll day and date on PlayStation Plus. Or that's another funny. I argue with my co-workers on RDX podcast. I think that PlayStation might invest day and date exclusives on PlayStation Plus, not PlayStation Now. And they're like, no way. I'm like, but they have 40 million subs. Like, that would be the place to invest.
Aren't they
Like,
doing
the
that
place
already,
to be.
They
They have done it already with their smaller games that they think are a little risky that may not do very well. But I mean, imagine if Sony said we're going to start putting our big PlayStation Studios games day and date on PlayStation Plus, they would go from 40 million subscribers to like 60 million like that first year, I think.
Yeah,
easily.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll be huge.
Because you'd get the online multiplayer, and then you'd get every new game. You'd be in this service, like. But maybe they'll do PlayStation Now, or maybe they'll do something totally different, a whole new different setup, and just leave PlayStation Now to just kind of eventually just dissolve itself. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All it matters is that I think that PlayStation will be following in the footsteps of Xbox when it comes to service offerings. And we'll see it.
If you're saying that, and I agree with you, but to be contrarian, I'll maybe offer like a little bit of balance, well, whatever. Critique to it, not critique. Shut up, Gaz. So what I'm trying to say is trying to really badly segue to the next topic. So everyone is waxing lyrical about Game Pass, and good old Asa told me to bring this in, and it's good because I watched this interview.
No, pause.
You want to do?
Pause before. If you want to add any balance, just like invite me to the conversation a little bit, and I'll add that tiny bit.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Asa, go for it. Asa,
Okay. Absolutely agree with everything that Colt and Miles have said just then. And to be fair, neither of them have said this, but the death of PlayStation is greatly exaggerated at the moment. So PlayStation
I agree with you. I agree.
Very quiet on certain. To be fair, no, neither of you have said that PlayStation are dying, but this whole idea that they're getting bashed around and so on, they've always been quiet on social media. They're not particularly good at that. It doesn't mean that they're not cooking things up. And we've seen it in the past where people get agitated that Sony are quiet, and then boom, they have a big game and everyone forgives them for a time. So Xbox are a lot noisier. Sony did, and the PlayStation Twitter account did try and join in, and they did their whole like Namdai Bamco joke and got booed off the internet. And I don't know if you've seen like I don't know if you've seen lately, but EA are trying to get in it as well. So they're trying to match the Xbox persona. And it's just cringy because there's just some corporation that said we need to be one of the cool kids, and they've got their own accounts talking to each other, giving jokes. It's horrible to watch. But all this noise, like Xbox are doing it really well, and it's really positive. And for the community, it's fantastic to be a part of because the hype and the buzz. It's almost a separate hobby to games, and it's enjoyable. Especially when there's no games coming out, you can just talk about all these rumors and things. It's good fun, right? I hate the rumors, but it's good fun.
It is fun. Yeah.
But I mean, PlayStation will be fine. Microsoft aren't even trying to push PlayStation out. Microsoft are trying to grow gaming to more and more people with mixed success so far. Like Game Pass hasn't blown up into mobile yet, but that's what they're aiming for. They're trying to expand and expand and expand, and they're always saying, like, if Sony die, it's just their collateral damage. We're not trying to kill them. There's room for Sony to exist and to thrive, and they need to do something to defend these third-party games because, like Colt says, if someone's getting their Xbox and it's sitting beside the PlayStation and this game is available on both, but you don't have to pay for it on one console, then Sony are losing massively there, and that's important to them. So they need to do something about that. But there's space for them to thrive, and they're not in trouble. So that's the little bit of balance, and now you can segue into the next bit.
No, but Asa, I was trying to get onto that. I even made a tweet on that to that effect to say that everyone says doom and gloom, and all Sony will show is one game or a God of War, and boom, everyone is going to change their mind. And and that will happen to a certain extent. But the Half-Life on that kind of tactic,
Half-Life on PlayStation exclusive per Gaz. What?
No, Half-Life on the PlayStation causing orgasms online, kind of that kind of.
I wish I hadn't interjected and just let him carry on, right?
Yeah, you stop interjecting. I'll start. No, okay, so that kind of, everyone's like sat there, and then that whole it will happen. People are like, oh look, look at this. What game looks as good as God of War? And then people sit there emotionally masturbating to this fact. But
yes, it's 2 in 1 minute.
No, sorry, I'm trying to. No, it doesn't mean what you think it means. It means it's.
Man, let's just move
Sony's
on.
Not dead. You're right. Let's just move on because I'm just digging a hole for myself here. So next topic. Everyone says Game Pass is good, metrics are good, But David Jaffe, shout out to David Jaffe, who recently has been like at loggerheads with Jeff Grubb. I love both these guys, and I'm sure they can iron it out. And also with Jason Schreier. I'm not going to talk about Jason Schreier, but David Jaffe said he had this amazing, really long interviews, but they're really good. I mean, you have to check out David Jaffe's interviews. He's got Days Gone Dev there. And what's really interesting is the Days Gone Dev has literally gone on like on a rant. Well, he's asking a question, and he was very, very unfiltered and saying, effing buy if you want to see sequels to our games, buy them full price. So it's like, buy them $70. Don't wait for them on sale. Don't pirate them, obviously. But I think he's also talking about PlayStation Now and sales and stuff. Like, what do you think about that, Colt? Because that guy is saying, he said, and I'll quote this, uptick with engagement with the game is not as important as did you buy the game at full price, because it's not supporting the developers properly. So
Jeff Ross said this?
It was said by... No. So this was I can find out who it is. It's by John Garvin. John Garvin.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the other guy from Bend.
Oh no, not that
He is
guy.
still from Bend, or formerly from Bend. Yeah.
Formerly from Bend. He's not out of a job now.
He said, if you want to see a sequel, buy the game at full price.
Yeah. Now, what do you think?
Well, he's right, because on PlayStation you don't have any other choice to give the developers the support. You buy the game at full price, they get the publisher gets the most money back. But if you're on Xbox and Xbox strikes a deal, Xbox gives them a sweet chunk of change up front, extra, to be on Game Pass. So if you pay $10 or $15 a month to play it on Game Pass, they were already paid before the game launched on Game Pass. They already got the bonus money. So when a bunch of people jumping on Game Pass, they're not sitting there going, "Oh man, look at all those people playing, and they probably didn't buy it." Like they already got the nice big check, and people don't understand that. Phil tried to explain that. He was interviewed. I think it was, I don't know, it's like December. He was interviewed, and he talked about that we have different deals. Sometimes we give them a bunch of money up front. Sometimes they get certain royalties on how much engagement is on Game Pass. And the funny thing is that when a developer puts their game in Game Pass, they aren't doing it because they've been zip tied. They did it because they saw a number, and then they looked at Phil or whatever and Sarah Bond, and they said, "Yeah, that sounds good," and they signed it. Like, you have to remember, like, these people are like forever physical. You're ruining the games industry. These publishers and developers made an agreement. Usually it's the publisher, right? Asa, publisher makes the agreement. They run it by the developer. Developer goes, "Wow, this sounds cool. What do we get?" And they're like, "Oh, we're going to kick this to you." Yeah. And quit worrying about them. If they're, I would say 99%, if they're on Game Pass, they wanted to be there. So you're okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Are there any disagreements with that? Because I feel like part of that, I feel like it sounds made up.
Do you agree with that, Miles?
Yeah, we look at Xbox Game Pass, and there's this narrative that gets spun up from people online saying this isn't sustainable, or I worry about the developers, and straw man arguments. They don't really care about the developers at the end of the day if they're simultaneously supporting horrific crunch and terrible work conditions. But that aside, there has not been a single developer that has come out and said, "I was in Xbox Game Pass and it was really bad for me and I didn't make money and nobody played my game." We haven't seen that yet. We've seen,
I was about to say that. Yeah.
We've seen the exact opposite. We've seen countless developers come out and say, "Xbox Game Pass was an incredible experience. I made more money than ever. More people played my game than ever." So yeah, I understand those concerns. When you look at it on paper, you wonder how the logistics work, because it's not hyperbole when you say it's the best deal in gaming, and it seems like it can't be sustainable. I understand that confusion about the business model for sure, but when you're worrying about the developers, I want to wait until we've had a developer come out. If we get a string of developers who come out and say, "I was in Xbox Game Pass and it was a bad experience. I felt exploited. I felt like they were taking advantage of my release," then I'll be concerned. Then I will look at Game Pass and say, "All right, is Xbox kind of strong arming these companies into doing it?" But
That seems so funny to say.
But for now, it's absurd. It's just nonsense that people who want to push a narrative use to push that narrative, but there's no facts to it at all.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
funny when Miles, you hit that so perfectly. Like if you go to Walmart and you buy a product and it's a lot cheaper at Walmart than at other stores because Walmart gets such a good deal. Like, do you feel sorry for, Coleman coolers because you paid $17.38 instead of $22.99 or something because you bought it at Walmart? Like, they all like come into these agreements, and the agreement with Game Pass is more bulk, or more eyes on. And with Outriders, almost anybody could just pay $10 and play Outriders for nearly free. But so many chose to go and buy the game. They wanted to own it. It increased engagement on Steam. Everyone went and bought the game, and there was a ton of people, probably let's say 1 million people played on Game Pass, and then everybody else bought it. And all the eyes, like when you go to your friends list and this guy's Water Egg 32 is playing Outriders, and Jimmy Bean 47 is playing Outriders. Like man, I got to get in on this and play too. Like all my friends are playing, and that's one of those things that is just a natural benefit of Game Pass. Quit worrying about this stuff.
No, absolutely, you're right. Nano Polymath, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. If your face is on the internet, Nano Polymath will use that bloody, what's it called, that app.
Oh, Wombo? Is it Wombo?
Wombo. Yeah, he's addicted to that. He will Wombo the hell out of you. He got everyone. I don't think there's anyone left on the planet that he hasn't Womboed. He says, thank you so much for the £5. This is out of context. He's talking about the developer here. He said that in relation to torrent sites, stealing titles, nothing to do with subscriptions. He did actually and I know what you're saying there, because then he went on to a rant about 200,000 torrents for his game. But he also quickly before that mentioned PS Plus in his little rant. So I get where you're coming from. His most Asa, go.
Yeah, so it's not entirely out of context. So you're absolutely right now, knowing that he wasn't saying it about subscription services. So he wasn't having a dig at Game Pass. He was saying it wasn't specifically about piracy and torrents either, though. He was saying it mostly in response to the stories last week from the Bloomberg article saying that Days Gone 2 was cancelled. So he had worked on Days Gone, and he was having a rant that more people... To be honest, it was a really bad look. I've not watched the whole interview. It's 4 hours long. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it is worth watching. So David Jaffe actually interviews them really well. If you can put up with the language going around in the interview, he's very good at challenging their opinions when needed and pulling out good information from them. So they're well worth watching. But this guy, I don't want to be too critical because I haven't watched the whole thing, but it came across really badly to me when he's saying it's never a good look for someone to say, like, you should be giving us more money to their fans. This is cancelled because our fans didn't pay us enough. Like, no, this is your problem to solve, not your fans' problem to solve. And the answer, as Miles and Colt have both alluded to, is it's on the businesses to come up with other models that are viable. If you want these games to do well, if £70 is more than people are willing to pay, you don't tell them pay more. You fix the model and you make it profitable another way. So it was a bit cringe to watch, and I hope that there's more to it. But
Asa, did Days Gone not turn a profit or not turn enough profit to be like super motivating for a sequel?
So I haven't watched the whole thing. I don't think he goes in the numbers in that much detail because he's not at Sony Bend anymore. So like Jeff Ross, I think they both worked on Days Gone. I don't know the circumstances that he left Sony under or what the deal is, but
he alluded to being David Jaffe, man, he's such a beast, man. He doesn't give a shit. He just says what he wants because he's got this royalty money. He's old now. He can do whatever he wants, man. David Jaffe, you're a boss. We aspire to be you. He quizzed him on this, and what the reason why that guy is not there at Sony Bend anymore, and he said it's because he's so outspoken about certain things that he can't be as outspoken as, say, Neil Druckmann, because Neil Druckmann's had more successes with his games. And they were alluding to this whole point about how Sony gauges success and then supports games onwards. It's really, lends credence to, as much as I hate to admit it, Jason Schreier's article about how Sony gauges success and then onward support of titles. And this is something actually I wanted to allude to a while ago. Miles, you were talking about, so all you, Colt, about this diversity in games. For me, my magic moment in games are just in several years, several bits and moments, but the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 years were amazing because they had such a breadth of titles. And I haven't felt that kind of energy. And like I'm like old school until recently with Xbox, where their Xbox Game Pass is enabling those similar kind of experiences. There's so many games, and I love how indies are just flourishing flourishing on Game Pass. They're almost like level playing field with a lot of these big AAA titles. They're very interesting. PlayStation isn't doing that. It's not supporting it either publicly. I'm not saying it hasn't got indie games, but you had the likes of, and I really hate this quote from Jim Ryan, even though if it's very true about what Sony's state of affairs is. He said this in 2017. He said, and I'm not quoting on it, but he did say like the indie messaging is less relevant now. We're focusing on VR. It was important at launch. I'll touch upon it in my Source video where I just inject myself with even more adrenaline and Source. But it's that point, that is a big thing. That PlayStation is relegating the parappa the rappers, the Vib ribbons, and all that magic. It's coming to Xbox. And that's the problem with PlayStation. I think that's a huge problem. And it's a problem that, and you said this, Miles, that the very vocal fan base has been doing the marketing for PlayStation. Because PlayStation is so silent, that silence creates a vacuum to be filled by its very loudmouth fan base who have now put these AAA, third-person, single-player, story-driven games on a pedestal with high-quality values. And Sony are obviously going to cater to these fans. That's what they want, right? What happened to everything else? Why would you be... what? And Asa, you shake your head there, but isn't Xbox the more exciting prospect because of that kind of breadth of titles, that Game Pass? Or are you disagreeing with me? And I think guys are just looking to...
Cool. I don't want to like interject again, but no, there's more to it. Do you remember years and years ago when Cliff Bleszinski was saying like the model for games now is not sustainable? He wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason that Sony are less diverse in what they produce now, because of the budgets in the PlayStation 2 days were tiny compared to what they are now. So Vib Ribbon wasn't the risk that it would be if they threw 100 million at it. So it's not so much their fans' noise that's made this happen. It's spiraling budgets that have made this happen, and the risk associated with it, and the fact that those smaller games just won't make that money back. So, and again, I mean, just a couple of minutes ago, I was just saying like the problem there is you need to come up with a model that does support these kind of games, which is why you could have a game like that on Game Pass. You could have a chaptered game that releases in seasons. You can have small games, big games, and anything in between. It's a great thing that Xbox have done to solve that problem. And yeah, hopefully Sony will find something in kind. But...
And I hope so too. And I think there has to be some course correction there, Colt. I mean, we're going to wrap up there because we've gone beyond the time limit, I think. But I could talk about this for hours. Before I do that, though, sorry, Nana Polymath, thank you generously donating. He said it was this £5 super chat. So many titles in Game Pass, not a single dev studio complaining. That's what Miles was saying. Many crediting the service for greater success. Almost all of them are. Folks need to stop with the fake outrage. I agree with you, Nana Polymath. And I just want to quickly, a disclaimer. So 2 Source episodes ago, I said anyone who tweets hashtag forever physical is like a leper or something. There is... what I meant... So that was directed not at... There's a good case for the... preservation of physical games, and this hashtag forever physical started off with that. What's happened is PlayStation fanboys have hijacked that movement. So forever physical, and if you look into the people who were literally incessantly with their alt accounts, you're not fooling anyone, you idiots. They're spamming forever physical. These are alt accounts. They're taking over your movement. So your good movement for the preservation of physical games is being hijacked by PlayStation fanboys who are so threatened by Xbox Game Pass that this spam hashtag forever physical. So just for you, hashtag forever digital, you piece. Anyway, next super chat. Isma, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. 20 million subscribers times $10 equals $200 million. GTA 5 production cost was $260 million. Game Pass is sustainable. Disney, Netflix, HBO is proof. Not only that, though, Isma, Sony is it's modeling this $1 deal that everyone thought was so crazy. If Sony can do it, how can a giant like Microsoft not keep it sustainable? It's nonsense. I didn't just come here for a headshot of Colt for a Womba. 5 months super chat from Nano. Oh no, Nano, you're unrelenting with your Wombas. But yeah, thank you so much. And there's great chat in the top. I see some fighting going on there, but yeah, be nice. Like Colt says, be nice. So I was just going to say, I'll kind of want to bookend this with, I said this before at the start of this generation. For me, Xbox is the more exciting prospect because of this diversity. Do you expect, Colt, a course correction from PlayStation? Because Game Pass is fundamentally kind of, in my opinion, that's a massive paradigm shift in the gaming model. Some people say it's just disruptive. What do you?
No, they're threatened, which is super weird to be threatened by that. Open your eyes. Subscription services are king. They are ruling the landscape of how we get our entertainment. There are 10 to 12 super prominent TV and movie services, subscription services that are going right now. Game Pass becoming one of those things for gaming is the biggest deal that's happened since, GameFly. Like, you don't want to order your disc. I think GameFly even lets you get digital games somehow if they're still alive. But yeah, it's a big deal. PlayStation has to follow suit. So that would be a change. And Jim Ryan was assumed that he said that they wanted a 1-to-1. I think people said that Phil Spencer heard that Jim Ryan said that he wanted to have a 1-to-1 to Game Pass. So expect it. It's just going to take them a while. I've told people many times that their fan base is so different from Xbox that they have to warm the water up slowly to a boil to get them ready for it. They can't just spring it on them, because just a year ago he said, we want to keep our games clean and pure on the PlayStation. So, when Jim Ryan talks, it's like, so, and I think it's smart. It's kind of ridiculous, but smart at the same time that he needs to warm them up to the idea before he starts taking the games that he called clean and pure. They're big exclusives that get nominated for Game of the Year every year to let fans feel like they've cheapened them into a service that costs, $10 to $20 a month or whatever they'll end up doing. So it will happen.
Yeah, Miles, do you echo Cole's sentiments that there has to be a course correction by PlayStation to try and sort out this behemoth and this service that is gathering momentum daily called Xbox Game Pass?
Yeah, I think it's going to get to a point where Sony isn't going to have the option to not compete in that space. As we've seen with the shift, I always use Netflix as the example for what the gaming industry is getting to. When Netflix came out and said, we're doing streaming only digital, people just laughed it out. Like, no, that's not going to work. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do that. And then you flash forward like 10 years, and in 2020, Netflix surpassed the value of Disney. A company that had, like PlayStation, built a legacy over decades and decades and decades. This up-and-comer surpassed Disney. And that is not something we can discredit. And then you had all these companies go, wow, we need to catch up with this now. And you have a bunch of companies in that space trying to play catch up, putting out services, trying to buy as many exclusives as possible and try to close that gap in as short of a period of time as they can. And really only Disney is the only one Disney and maybe HBO with some like Game of Thrones are really the only ones that have gotten on that level, on that same kind of playing field. And the longer that PlayStation waits to compete and get on that, PlayStation Now came out first. That's something people, I don't think, remember. PlayStation Now has been out for years before Game Pass, and Game Pass is crushing it in terms of subscribers, crushing it in terms of growth. And so how does PlayStation shift that narrative? For one, are they going to use PS Now, or are they going to have to come up with a new service that they can rebrand because PlayStation Now doesn't have the momentum to catch up? Or are they just going to use something like God of War Ragnarok and say, God of War Ragnarok day one PS Now, and use that as like the benchmark for this is what we're going to try to do moving forward? Because really,
wouldn't that be huge?
That would be huge. Imagine the headlines that Sony could get. Imagine the publicity. Imagine the number of subs that would sign up for PS Now if they did that.
Oh my gosh.
But will they? I think they will down the road.
Can you imagine the nuclear fallout if they announce God of War Ragnarok is the first day and date exclusive on our subscription service, and then after like 2 weeks of absolute gut ache, they'd be like, man, this is great. PlayStation Now is the best service ever. I mean, ask for more. If you only want to play on PlayStation, ask the people that are connected to PlayStation to bring you something like Xbox Game Pass.
So this is the thing. I see core gaming circles on the PlayStation side getting more annoyed about the MLB thing because it's like a point scoring thing that I do. That people like me just add some salt in your sauce. But ultimately, that's the bigger thing you should be asking for instead of trying to prop fake movement, like trying to hijack a movement or build a narrative against digital gaming. Ask for more. And I'm going to end with.
No, you're not, because I'm
a
going to
sentiment
interrupt
of mine.
dramatically.
Yes! Dramatic comment on.
No, not that dramatic. I think there's a super chat from JF Hard that was missed. So thank you for that.
Sorry.
It was a while back when we were talking about Days Gone. But he was just saying that Sony Bender perhaps being treated unfairly when Uncharted wasn't necessarily very good, and Naughty Dog turned that into something amazing. To kind of counter that, though, I would just say Uncharted had... I didn't particularly like the first Uncharted, but it had something unique to its setting. So you could sense the direction that it was going, whereas Days Gone is a zombie game. So it's a lot easier to dismiss what they've done if it wasn't successful, I would say. I also, because we haven't spoken about games again, I know Gas wants to finish, so I'll make it nice and quick. But Colt, I know you've been playing MLB The Show. How is it, and what else have you been up to?
It's pretty good. I'm in the beginning part where it kind of simulates and only has you play as yourself. I built my character to look just like me. I'll share that on a new video or on Twitter soon, since Xbox sent me the early access deluxe version of the game. So it looks pretty good. Looks really good. And yeah, I can't wait to get into the meat of it. I've been around baseball for a long time, but I haven't played a baseball game in probably 15 years, like sat down and really played one. So yeah, this is kind of a good opportunity to have a game like that on the platform I'm usually on all the time. So yeah, it's nice.
I might try him. We don't give a shit about baseball, but it's free.
Guys are taking over. Be quiet. Miles, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been playing a lot of Outriders still, despite the fact that it's a good game, not a great game. I don't know if it's just purely addiction at this point, but I've been grinding away on the expedition stuff. Outside of that, I'm gearing up for Resident Evil Village. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. Pretty stoked to see what that tall lady's all about. You know what I'm saying? And outside of that, yeah, that's about it. Just chilling.
Good. Gaz, I know you don't play games. How was your coffee?
My coffee was great because Sham is amazing. It's mostly 90% sugar, which is why I'm so hyped. I just want to reach out. Sorry, Shane Tomlin, I might have missed your super chat. If you can paste it very quickly, because we're about to end the show. I'm really sorry if I missed super chats. I'm bad at multitasking. I'm a horrible person. I'm a piece of shit. I'm so sorry. But I'm trying. But yeah, I've been playing Apex Legends, and you'll be glad to know I bought another set of packs and I didn't get what I wanted. So
I promise everybody that sent in a super chat or subscribed to Patreon or the membership on here, none of it goes to Gaz's microtransactions. I promise.
Oh my god! I think there's a way to get the super chat if you go into your channel settings and look at your supers. It's a few clicks away, but maybe I could show you that another time.
Yeah, I never like missing. I mean, to me, it's just amazing that everyone does the super chat anyway, and I'd like to read all your comments, super chat or not. But especially if you're throwing money out there, I feel really bad if I miss it. So if I do, just paste it on there. Let me know. Shane, you've disappeared. I forgot, lol. It's okay. I'll let you off. Okay, Shane. Next time, just remind me what you want to say in the next show, and we'll read it out. So sorry about that. But ultimately, I just want to wrap up here. But I want to wrap up with some saucy things. Okay, in my opinion, Xbox is going to win this generation. It's very early, but to me, it's very clear. It's how your winner is decided depends on what your metric is. But look at all the games. And Chris Jones, you're going to have a heart attack reading this. So you might want to mute what I'm saying because I can see your stuff in the chat, but you're entitled to your disagreements here. Xbox is the more I've said this so many times, it sounds like repetition, but Xbox is the more exciting platform. Even if you look at the big IPs coming out there, after PlayStation has its Horizon, its God of War, and Ratchet and Clank, what are you going to look at? Say Gran Turismo, where you were making fun of Forza, which is one of the highest rated races.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Like Forza has been the leading exclusive racing game without even bringing in Horizon. Like Horizon. Yeah. I mean, I have a great faith that Gran Turismo 7 is going to be a callback to what we've loved of Gran Turismo, because I've played a lot of sport. I don't get it. It's nothing like Forza Motorsport anyway. But no, come on now. Yeah, I mean, just every generation isn't the same, and even when the PlayStation 3 was getting outsold by the 360, the PlayStation 3 was still outstanding. Had really great games and a really great place to play. 6-axis controller. You get something different from every platform. And I know we can't always afford to buy both of them or all 3 platforms or all 19 of them. But be nice.
Okay, so here's how we decide who wins this generation. All right.
If you say Metacritic, Mars, I'll find you.
No, he's going to say something related to Dark. Oh,
no. Here's how we do it. We get Jim Ryan. We get Phil Spencer on stage at E3. They arm wrestle. Winner
Celebrity
owns the gen.
deathmatch. Celebrity deathmatch. They need to bring that back, claymation version. But yeah, fight to the death. I would 100% back that.
No, actually, Miles, how you get to see who wins generation? You open up full multi-platform crossplay between PlayStation and Xbox, and you let us play with our friends across PlayStation and Xbox, play against them, and find out in Call of Duty who has the best kill to death ratio. Is it Xbox or is it PlayStation? That would be the real healthy, positive competition.
Real healthy? Is that?
I was gonna say that doesn't sound healthy at all.
Oh my god! If there's voice chat in those lobbies, man, you're not. The Call of Duty lobbies are notorious for certain things, man. That's not gonna be healthy.
But wouldn't that be funny to actually have real, real data showing that PlayStation users have this kill to death ratio?
No. Xbox
it would be so crazy.
I'm sorry, I'll say this. Xbox guys would destroy PlayStation guys. The skill gap. I'm telling you, they come from the PC crowd. There's no competition. Xbox guys are the FPS crowd masters, man. I'll die on that hill. Asa, just shut up, Asa.
I was basing this on reams and reams of absolutely no data.
I have data, okay? All my friends on PlayStation who play, they be playing on that shitty 6-axis controller for time. We've been like playing with a proper, asymmetrical little source. They would get wrecked. I promise you, they would get wrecked by a factor of 3 to 1.
Imagine the junior high cafeteria talk, As. Just imagine it. That's so funny what it sounds like when people get that competitive.
I love that. That's what I love about the source. I love the console warring when it's healthy and just shit flinging, but not when it very easily tips over. But Xbox is winning this generation, in my opinion, unless Sony shocks the world, and that to me is a massive deal. Ace is looking at me with disgust. You can't, Gaz. Why do you have to pick a side? But it's facts, and I will show you the source video, and I will be first to admit if I'm wrong, but it's just happening. And Ace, I know in the back of your mind you agree with me because this is what's happening.
Gaz,
yeah, he agreed.
My look of disgust, it's not about you picking a side in anything that you say. It's the fact that you just said, I only use this particular controller and just totally outed yourself as a total Xbox doesn't use a DualSense at all. It's nice. It's all right. The Xbox one, you're right. But
No. Actually, the DualSense. I'm talking about the old consoles. They've been trained with the.
He said 6-axis. Yeah, the old
PlayStation 3 controller. He gave it a them and us. He put himself on the us. Gaz, we're not an Xbox channel. I keep telling you.
I know, but when it comes to Xbox, when it comes to Call of Duty.
Oh my gosh, your boss just told you where to sit down.
Someone in chat said you're wearing the RDX shirt. You're so biased, or something.
Why are you covering it?
Wait, a funny thing is I don't even play on Xbox. I game on PC. So the funny thing, I played my PS5 more. I've played my PS5 more than my Xbox, which is quite bad. But I'm sorry, guys. But on that, on that basis, on that note, Colt, who is winning this generation? Don't
Gamers. I hate that one.
You're clapping and he's hating.
Oh. I don't know. I mean, if you made me give you an answer that depended on my life, I would say it's just going to be really close. There's no more landslide victory. There's just too much being offered from both sides. I'm just glad Xbox isn't sitting down anymore. It was really annoying, really irritating when I'm Super Lucky's Tale. Yeah. I mean, Xbox One generation was littered with games they didn't even make. The games that everyone makes fun of, the Xbox exclusives that got all the really low Metacritic games, Xbox Game Studios didn't even make them. Like they didn't even try. Crackdown wasn't even made by Xbox Game Studios. It was made by the people that made Sackboy Big Adventure and Sonic Transform Racing. That's Sumo Digital. They've worked with PlayStation more than Xbox. So they didn't even try. And that's what I tried to convey in that Phil Spencer video, that they were sitting there like they didn't do anything. And now look at them. At 2018, at that next year, they started building up Game Pass. And then 2019 started buying studios. And it's just been, it takes time, and games take 5 years. And we're looking at like Fable started in 2017, probably 2018 in force. So do the math. The game's coming. Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that.
I'm so glad. This is where the competition is great, you know. And I'll tell you right now, no facts. If PlayStation fires back and it creates Source, I will make a Source video and I will love it. I will love it because I love the Source more than I love games. And Miles, before I read it, go to you. Joshua Olas, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He says, Gaz, probably the iOS or PC xCloud announcement. He's alluding to the secret announcement for tomorrow. Colt, thank you so much for handling the trolls. I can't multitask, so thank you for that. Miles, is Xbox winning this generation? Well, whatever metric that you're going to use, the fight to the death or whatever. But is Xbox poised to win this generation?
Xbox is in a really good position to, at least be back on par with PlayStation, which is, we look at like Colt said, with Xbox One, that was a huge fumble for them. And there was not a lot of support. There was not a lot of excitement with the Xbox brand. You had people, developers especially, didn't care about Xbox, and that's going away. So the more you have developers and passionate people caring about Xbox, the better market share that Xbox is going to have. So I think in terms of services and what Xbox is offering for their ecosystem, if Sony doesn't compete and quickly, then Xbox will absolutely start eating PlayStation's lunch long term. But if PlayStation gets to a point where they're dropping bangers like God of War Ragnarok into a Game Pass equivalent, it's going to be a lot more interesting. Competition is going to be way more exciting. So yeah, I don't want to be that guy to say Xbox will win this gen, but if PlayStation doesn't step it up, they're not in a good position to maintain that lead. That's for sure.
How bad is it that an Xbox-centric YouTuber and a guy who works for Windows Central won't say what I've just said, which is Xbox will win this generation?
It's all about nuance, okay?
Disclaimer, my views may never represent that of GameOnDaily. So
oh my gosh.
But the source represents life. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, Mariana Popper, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, to the Apex Fund, lol, go, let's get it, Gaz. It's not going to the Apex. Just to give you context, one of my videos that I'm working on, I don't know how many views it will get, that already cost me 200 quid to just make, because I love you guys. The video is going to be so funny. It's very saucy. Forgive me for that, Jim Ryan and Shuhei Yoshida. And that's
you guys, you all miss it. I talk to Gaz almost every day on the phone, and his excitement for this stuff he's making, his passion. He's the passion. He's so excited to do this stuff and share it with all of you guys. So when you see that notification, you stop what you're doing and go watch his videos, because it's really cool. It's really, I love seeing people excited about stuff. We got to talk to Miles before he went live with his premiere this week.
Oh, yeah.
It's so exciting because we're excited about the news. We're excited about creating the content. You're excited about watching it and sharing what you're excited to see come. And I'll just keep saying the word excited. Oh, it's good. Tomorrow's going to be great.
Oh, shit.
Or Monday. Monday.
There's something saucy's coming up, but honestly, guys, we don't fake it here, man. We're excited about it. This is what we, you know it, man. If you were faking about, you would know straight away. This is the source, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please smash that like button. And I'm just going to do the outros from here, and Asa will take over. But I love all of you. Thank you so much for the source. Colt Eastwood, where can people find you, sir? Everyone knows where you are, but yes.
Yeah, I'm always on Twitter at Colt Eastwood, and I'm on YouTube with that new format, thanks to Gaz being on camera just a little bit. And I'm there at Colt Eastwood on YouTube. And I have a channel membership and a Patreon that people can continue to support and get a little bit of extra stuff and maybe some giveaways. Do a giveaway every 21st of the month. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Support Colt and Patreon. He loses sleep over how good, like, he edits his videos, like, oh, the quality speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not even joking. We'll have conversation at 3 o'clock in the morning about this video and this tiny little bit. It comes, well done, Colt. That we learn from you. And also, like, the new up and coming Sexy Miles, who is taking over. Jez, watch out, he's coming for you. Miles, how are you, man? Thank you so much. Tell people where they can find you, and also the creator of one of the most underrated videos of all time, the amazing ASMR video that I think people need to see. It's so good. But Miles, thank you. I hope you had a good time. Where can people find you?
Oh no, absolutely. Had a blast. Thanks for having me on. Always good chatting with the crew. If you want to send me some memes or hit me up, I'm on Twitter at Miles Dompierre. And then I'm the dude running the Windows Central Gaming YouTube channel over there, grinding that out. And like Gaz said, if you know, the gamer ASMR is in line with the Sauce brand. That's a saucier video than we typically do, but it's a sleeper hit over there if you haven't seen it. But yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
No, thank you for being here, both of you. We could talk about this for hours, and I love you guys, and I'm so grateful to know you on a personal level as well as content creators. And people in the chat love you guys as well. The guy JP says he's been a Colt fan since day one. So yeah, and thank you so much for all your support. Asa, you can do the outros. You're infinitely more wise, well-spoken, and well coordinated as well.
Most of those things are true. I am. No, thank you very much to Miles and Colt. I hope everyone agrees that was a great show. Thank you to everybody that has showed up. And yeah, we are now offline. Thank you very much. So, Miles, what's this cyclone?